August 1st, 1798, the Battle of the Nile. The night sky over Aboukir Bay burned with the fury of war. Cannon fire cracked like thunder, their flashes illuminating the towering masts of ships locked in a death struggle. The sea churned, thick with the debris of shattered hulls and the bodies of men who had been cast overboard. The air reeked of burning wood, gunpowder, and blood. On the deck of L'Orient, the massive French flagship, Captain Casabianca gripped the rail, his knuckles white. His ship, the pride of the French Mediterranean fleet, was surrounded. Admiral Nelson's British ships had swept in, cutting off retreat, blasting away at French vessels in a withering crossfire. L'Orient had withstood the onslaught for hours, but the end was drawing near. Below deck, young Giucante Casabianca, the captain's 12-year-old son, clung to the mast, the heat of fire licking at his skin. Smoke billowed through the corridors, and men scrambled past him, some wounded, others in blind panic. "Father," he called, his voice barely audible over the roar of the battle. Above, Captain Casabianca turned to his officers, his face set in grim determination. The fire had reached the powder magazine. There would be no saving L'Orient. He looked toward the British ships, Bellerophon, Majestic, Alexander, their gun crews reloading, their captains watching the dying behemoth before them. He had seen this before, ships burning, sinking, taking hundreds of men with them to the depths. But never had it been his ship. Across the bay, aboard HMS Vanguard, Admiral Nelson squinted through his spyglass at the doomed French flagship. His left eye, blinded years earlier, saw nothing, but his right eye saw clearly. L'Orient was a floating inferno. He lowered the glass. "It's about to blow," he muttered. "God help them." Aboard the British ships, orders were shouted. "Cease fire! Get down!" Then came the explosion. A deafening roar shattered the night, drowning out all other sound. The sky turned white with fire as L'Orient erupted, sending a plume of flame and debris into the heavens. The force of the blast rocked every ship in the bay. Burning timbers and red-hot iron rained down for miles. Men were thrown from decks, waves crashed against hulls, and for a moment, the entire battle seemed to pause in awe and terror. When the fireball faded, all that remained of L'Orient was a smoldering sea. The great flagship, the pride of the French Navy, was gone. On HMS Majestic, a young midshipman lay flat on the deck, his hands over his ears, his heart hammering. He slowly lifted his head, blinking through the smoke. He had never seen anything like it. None of them had. In the eerie silence that followed, groans of the wounded carried across the water. The battle was not over, but in that moment, every man in Aboukir Bay, British and French alike, knew they had witnessed something they would never forget. And somewhere, beneath the waves, the shattered remains of L'Orient settled on the seafloor, carrying with it the hopes of Napoleon's fleet and the bodies of those who had fought to the last.